Between the Words, the podcast where we go beyond the page and into the heart of the story. Here, authors don't just share what they wrote, they reveal why they wrote it. So, because the real story is never just ink on paper, each episode pulls back the curtain behind the book, the doubts, the determination, and the defining moments that shape both the story and the storyteller. So, if you believe books have the power to add value, spark growth, and transform lives, and even bring some needed moments of escape, you're going to love what's ahead.
Hi, welcome to another Wisdom on the Front Porch reading between the words, because we're going to learn about an author and about an amazing book that talks about leadership and communication and so much more. Rich, thank you for being here today.
I'm happy to be back. Thanks for having me.
I'm sorry, I have to tell everybody. Sometimes things happen. I forgot to hit the record button. So Rich and I've talked about this, but we're going to include you in the conversation this time. Rich, it's such a great book. It's called Growing Your Own. I love that title because you're talking about growing your own leadership skills, and communication comes in with that. And I know we talked about you had a blog for your company for 2 years. So tell us a little bit about the blog and why you started the blog.
After realizing that I did not want to sell the company, I wanted to train. We have so many good employees, and those who wanted to be leaders, I wanted to train to become leaders so that they could take over the company and I could ultimately retire. Because we were making it up as we went along as far as our training program went, I had some fits and starts, but along the way, I decided that I would enhance the program by writing a biweekly blog to the leadership team. And the hope was that it would create a little bit of buzz, that their daily conversations might include some of those leadership principles. It didn't happen generically or organically. And so the general manager said, I think in our weekly management meetings, I'm going to commit a time of 20 minutes to make them read it and discuss it openly. That's when the success of the blogs really kicked in. And not only did they then understand the blogs a little bit better, but they began to hold each other accountable for what was in the blogs. And we went on like that for 2 years. At the end of 2 years, I had shared about all the leadership information I was ready to share. And I said, you guys are doing great. I'm going to back off a little bit. I was still in the building, but they were basically running the day-to-day parts of the company and doing it well. I read through the blogs one weekend. There were 52 of them at that point. And I just really liked what I read and said, this is good enough. Even if it's only a legacy project for me, I'm going to publish this in book form. I reduced the number of chapters from 52 to 35. And because they were written as blogs, the chapters are about 2.5 pages apiece. It's a short book, about 130 pages. And I published it. I'm in the process. I've retired since from daily activities. So now I'm marketing the book. And I didn't sit down to become an author, but I kind of became an author by accident. And I'm really proud of the final result.
Oh, that's awesome. I know this isn't wisdom on the front porch for entrepreneurs per se, but you said something that really caught my attention is that you had all these blogs and nothing was happening. Had you ever thought about, oh, this didn't work, I'm going to get rid of the blogs and I'll have to figure something else out?
From a selfish standpoint, I'm kind of a natural writer. I was enjoying writing the blogs. That was just kind of a fun part of my week, was to sit down and think what I was going to come up with next. So it would have taken quite a failure for me to pass on it. I'm one, I guess my entrepreneurial nature says, let's fix this. And so in talking to the general manager, it was his idea, not mine. And it was just a great idea, and it unlocked the potential. One of the things I talk about in the book is that you have to have intellectual curiosity in order to unlock your potential. And what I found was people who are not actively pursuing leadership probably don't have a lot of intellectual curiosity. In my case, I was managing primarily blue collar employees. Their intellectual curiosity stopped with what made them good at their job. So if they were a technician, they were really good at repairing things. If they were an installer, they'd take training courses and they'd learn how to install better, but nothing about just becoming more aware of the world, wondering how people think, those kinds of things. And I was introduced to intellectual curiosity very early in my career, and thank goodness I was, because 52 years later, I still read or listen to audiobooks or podcasts about an hour and a half every day. And the breadth of knowledge that you gain is just so beneficial to people who want to lead, because you understand the world, you understand what makes people tick, why they do the things they do, why they think the way they think. And so that intellectual curiosity piece is missing in most non-leaders, and a lot of leaders too, but most non-leaders.
Wow, that's interesting. And I'm just thinking, boy, I should get a hold of you every week and say, what are you reading or listening to today?
I will tell you my style is, in order to read a breadth of topics, if I read a book on customer service this week, then I commit to reading 4 books on other subjects before I can return to customer service. And that just
Great
forces me,
idea.
at my age, you got to be interested in longevity. And so I read some on longevity and health and fitness and those kinds of things. But I read everything that looks good to me. And if a book is recommended to me, I'm going to read it. At least I'm going to start it.
That's awesome. Oh, I like that. So, when you had this book published, did it go back to your employees who are now running the company? Do they use the book?
They do, and as I said, I
Oh,
really started as a legacy project. So I gave them out to all the employees that wanted one. Didn't force them on anybody. They use the book as a desktop reference because that's really the way it's written. You can say, "Gosh, chapter 14 is about procrastination. I'm going to reread chapter 14 because I need a quick refresher on that." And it's got an interesting anecdote in chapter 14 about procrastination. So it's not something that you need to read the entire book over and over again. I've been told that it's a little difficult to read start to finish. I don't necessarily agree with that, but it wasn't written to be read start to finish. It was written to be read one chapter at a time. And it doesn't matter to me how you read it, as long as you read it.
that sounds like a really good book club book. You take one chapter, you read it, you implement it, see how it works that week, come back and talk it over, and then go to the next chapter the next week and read it and take notes on it. That sounds like one of those really great books
Ooh,
for
I like
new
that idea.
people.
Obviously, I'd love to hear that somebody took you up on that.
Awesome. That's good. So, we talked earlier about you had a course that goes with the book,
Correct.
and you actually had. I'm going to assume this came from what you did with your own employees, that you took them through a course, and you had, was it 8 that started and 6 completed?
That's correct. We had 8 people that started, and one decided he just wasn't up to the leadership accountability level, and the other one
Okay.
just struggled with the concepts and just wasn't able to adopt them. But 75% success rate in a training course, from what I've been told, is pretty good. Yes,
Yeah.
there is a follow-on course now that I conduct, and I do it personally because I don't think I can do it effectively remotely. The course begins with a meet and greet where I get to know, in a casual setting, everyone who's going to take the course, and I try to do 10 at a time or less. Once I know the people that I'm going to be teaching, I can tailor my approach to them to their
Okay.
specific needs. And each one of us comes with a cap on our abilities, whether it's in leadership or music or writing, whatever it is. I like to identify what that ceiling is for the people I'm talking about, and then work
Yeah.
with them specifically on removing that ceiling. But then there are 3 modules, 2 hours each, which I teach. The book contains 6 broad areas, and I deal with 2 of those broad areas in those 2 hour sessions. And I conduct that over a 2 day period. And I think it's been well received. As I said, at this point, I'm not interested in doing it remotely. So I love the personal interaction of dealing with people who want to be leaders. That's kind of my wheelhouse. And so at this point, that's the way that we're doing that.
That sounds really great. And and you talked about the ceiling, about the cap. And I know that John Maxwell talks about the cap, that this is as far as we can reach. We can't reach anymore until we find out why that cap is there.
Mhm.
What is that ceiling? What is stopping us? Is it something we've heard all of our lives? We're not good enough. We're never going to learn. We should only be followers, not leaders. It's never been interesting to us because it looks like it's really too difficult to do. Um, but what's your opinion on the ceiling and the cap?
Well, everybody has them, starting with me.
Mhm.
So you can pretend that you don't, you can pretend that other people don't, but you're not going to get very far if you don't attack. It's in the book. There's a chapter on treating symptoms rather than diseases.
Right.
That's basically the disease, and the only way you're going to cure something is to get at the disease. You don't treat the symptoms. You don't look for the excuses. You look for the reasons behind things happening. So I'm a believer. I have found it really successful that when you can identify, along with the employee's input, when you can agree that this is the ceiling, and more often than not, with blue collar employees, they just have never seen themselves as leaders, so they never thought about it.
Yeah.
And gosh, when you see that light bulb go off and they realize that they can actually become a leader, it not only does it make them a better employee and a new leader, it makes them a better parent. It makes them a better friend. The success stories that we have as a result of this course are just really fun to recount.
Oh, that's phenomenal. And I love your saying that. I'm going to include this part. Tell us what your son said when he read your book or was halfway through your book.
So as I gave the original copies out to friends and family and employees, my son called me when he was halfway through the book and said, "Dad, this is about life. This isn't just about business." And that was one of the best compliments I got. I love that, and I actually think he's right. I say in the book, it is uncanny how similar running a small company is to parenting children. The
Oh, yes.
principles in so many cases are the same, from communication to accountability. It's just they go hand in hand. And I guarantee you, as I learned to become a better leader, I became a better parent along the way.
Oh, that's awesome. And you talking about that. I mean, as authors, we talk about birthing our book. Hey, now you've birthed your book. I didn't even know that term until I wrote my first few books. And I was actually in a clubhouse meeting and with some other authors. And it's like, okay, now you've birthed the book. Now you have to raise it up. And we do that with our business. We've got an ideas. We go like that with lots of things that we're doing. Once you've gotten over that initial, now you have to raise it. You have to make awareness. You have to
Mhm.
continue to, let other people know. And it's real important to do that. So that's exciting that this book does more than just go for businesses, but leaders in any aspect of life. Parents, your leaders, grandparents, your leaders, aunts and uncles, your leaders, because those nieces and nephews are looking at your life and watching
Mhm.
what's going on.
Mhm.
So, what are some other compliments or other things that people have said about your book?
I guess my next favorite comment came early on from someone who read it and fortunately posted on a Google review and said, reading each chapter is like having a mentor with you in the room who wants you to succeed. And that's, if I could encapsulate why I did what I did, that would be the sentence that did it. I'm very proud of that one. I hope other people see it as that because that's really what it is. It's a 2.5 page mentorship, 35 times repeated.
That's excellent. So, so one more. I know you've got another one that you love.
I do. I like the comment from entrepreneurs tend to run in groups, and so a number of my friends are entrepreneurs or retired entrepreneurs, and I've received the same comment from several of them. I don't think I learned anything new, but I was reminded of the things I'm no longer doing that I used to do that made me successful. And so thanks for the reminder. And yeah, I've heard
Oh,
that repeatedly.
And that's true because we get so busy in what we're doing. Even as parents, we get busy being parents. We forget to, there's just simple little things that we need to do. We forget to laugh with our kids. We forget to just really enjoy them. Um, so that's a really great reminder. Just sometimes we have to go back to square one just to be reminded of what we've learned along the way and how it should be done. And all of us, we get stuck in something once in a while, and it's like, why am I stuck? What's going on? What happened? And so we have to go back and look at, okay, yeah, I kind of forgot about this. I got so busy doing this, I forgot about that. So I love that that book does that for those that have already, that feel like they're successful and they're great leaders. Everybody can learn more. And you mentioned that it's a skill and we can improve our skills. I'm surprised how many professional sports players have special coaches. These are coaches that they go to, not the team coach, but the coaches they go to improve their skills so they can keep getting better and so they can stay better. Maybe their foot's not turned right. Maybe their elbow's sticking out when they go to throw. Maybe they've kind of gotten off their game and they need someone else to take a look at them and say, "Oh, this is what's going on." Um, so it's great because yeah, this is great. And I know that this is not for everybody, but if you're a leader, if you want to be a leader, if you've never thought about being a leader, this is a great book to get.
It's an awfully inexpensive, both financial and from a time standpoint, it's an awful inconsequential expense to find out if this kind of approach is for you. There's a million leadership books out there,
Right.
and if not a million, a lot of them. And this book is different from all of the ones that I've seen in that it is written not from theory, has no buzzwords in it. This is all practical experience from my life and from the lives of people that I've been around. It is intentionally simple. None of this is rocket science. I was out on a walk and listening to a very famous audiobook on leadership the other day, and I just thought this book is excellent, but my people will never read this book. 400 pages long, lots of
Oh
theory,
yeah.
lots of buzzwords, and my employees would never read that book. There's nothing wrong with the book, but it wasn't written for them. This book is written for them, and that's the big difference
Okay.
in my book.
Yeah.
And you don't have to actually you don't have to want to be a leader. If you want to be a better communicator, the first 6 chapters are on communication. And I can
Oh
promise
wow.
you, if you read the first 6 chapters of the book and follow the principles, you'll be a better communicator from day one. It's that simple. I've told many people one of the things I liked about small business is that I could make a decision in the morning and see the benefits of that decision in the afternoon. That's the same way with this book. You can read a principle this morning, put it in place this afternoon, and see the benefits immediately.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because especially in this world where everything is instant, 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 microwave instant, we text message. Why didn't you message me back? It's been 2 seconds,
Yeah.
It's good to have something that is instant, but it's good for us. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that part. So tell us where we can get this, where we can look at your courses, where we can get in touch with you.
The website is growingyourown.net. And I love hearing from people directly. So if you want to contact me by email, rich@growingyourown.net. I don't do much social media, but I am on LinkedIn.
Okay, that sounds great. And your book is Growing Your Own. Your website is growingyourown.net, not .com, .net.
Correct?
Um, yeah, so and I love that title. I just think that was just so brilliant.
I'm sure you, being an author, I'm sure you have experienced this, but when you publish a book, then you get people coming out of the woodwork who want to promote your book. And now a lot of those people are strictly AI. So I have gotten several people wanting to promote growing your own because it's so effective about sustainability and raising your own crops. And so they don't go far enough to
Different
realize
kind of crop.
it has nothing to do with that, but it's kind of amusing.
Yeah. And I love this. It's, it can be a refresher course. It can be something brand new. It can be something that really helps your company, because I think one of the biggest struggles is communication between people. Once you learn how to communicate, everything just kind of falls into place. It gets better, at least you're able to understand. I I have one person that I talk with, and sometimes I'm not very good at communicating. I'm kind of like in the middle of a thought and I put it out there and it's like, I don't know what you meant by this. So I have to go back and it's like, okay, I see what I did there. But some people won't respond. Some people just, oh, I don't understand what you're saying, and they just walk off. But in our business, in our company, whether we're talking with vendors or we're talking with contractors, whatever it is, we need to make sure that we're clear on everything. I mean, I had someone that I was talking with, and I said, I'd like to get some more subscribers for my magazine. Well, they're thinking subscribers that they want, more people on YouTube, because you subscribe to YouTube, or on one of my social medias because they subscribe to you. And it's like, well, that was really great. I appreciate, the boost there, but that isn't what I was talking about. So it's like we had to, communicate, what does that word mean to you and what does the other word mean to you? And that you had that many chapters in the very beginning of the book about communication. That just shows how important it is.
As a leader, your job is to influence people. And if you can communicate, you have a much greater chance of having people follow you.
Absolutely. Well, Rich, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, our audience, for being here on the front porch, reading between the words with us. Look at Rich's website, growingyourown.net.
I hope today's conversation on reading between the words gave you a glimpse into the heart behind the book and sparked something new for your life or business.
Thank you, my front porch friends and neighbors, for pulling up a chair with me and my guest today on Wisdom on the Front Porch. Now, if you've got value from this conversation, would you do me a favor? Leave a quick review, then share it with someone you know who could use some inspiration. It helps more friends find their seat on the porch. And hey, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss what's next. Until then, keep the porch light on for new wisdom every time you show up. Your seat's always here for you on the porch.